So I think we start out with attendance. So we just say our names. So Leah Mon is here.
Jessica
Jessica
Jones
Jones
is
is
here.
here.
Or
Or
Jessica
Jessica
Jones.
Jones.
Sydney
Sydney
Brombosi.
Brombosi is here.
Haley Harrison is here.
Amy Gutierrez is here.
Emma Getlif's here.
Okay. And we're missing Brianna Scott, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So let me. Sorry, my computer's like being really slow. I'm trying to load the page for the question. So, what do you guys think about the lesson this week?
I mean, so far so good.
Good. It sounds like to me that there's an echo. Do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, what we can do about that.
Here. Jessica and I are gonna try something.
Okay.
Can you hear it now?
Okay.
Can you still
Is
hear
that
it?
better?
That is much better.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I don't know. I can't. iLearn's like not loading for me.
I know, it's taking forever for me too.
Do you guys need the questions? Because I have them pulled up already.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Sorry, my iLearn's not loading.
It's been difficult recently. I think we've all realized that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
but-
if you want to go ahead and read the first question.
Yeah, totally. The first question is, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention? How has Babylon influenced the development of the threat to children and families that you have chosen to address?
Well, I really, I liked how he talked about you never check your religion at the door. He got super intense when I was watching it, not reading it. So he was super, like he was pretty much standing over the pulpit and like reaching over because he was so like adamant about it. And so I think that's an important thing that we don't really realize what we're doing. That it's so easy to let our emotions and our I don't know, just our emotions get out of control, that we forget to treat people well and make sure that we're speaking politely and respectfully.
I also like how he said how we have to respond in certain situations. We have to make them better and not worse. Kind of a lot of it's kind of like with my parents. They wouldn't, even if they would like just yell at me, it'd really just make things not like worse, not better. So I think that's something that we have to keep in mind, is that if we make the situations better for both of us, then it's going to be better overall.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Sydney, I muted you because of the background noise. It just was helping my side. So if you want to say something, just like wave and I'll unmute you.
Oh, I can unmute myself and then.
Oh, you can? Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad somebody knows how this works. Okay, so.
I have something to add.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, I have to like read the question for me to like process it. But dude, I thought his talk was awesome. And just looking back over my notes, I thought it was really cool that, well, when he talked about judging others. Like, we hear it all the time. We know not to judge other people. We know it, we know it, we know it. We've taught it, we tell other people, we tell ourselves. But it's just so hard to remember. And, like, even when you do it, you're always like, wait, oh, like, I need to be nice. And, like, oh, wait, just because I said this, I'll say 3 nice things afterwards and make it all better. But the question talks about threats to children and family, and like, I think that's something that we can teach our children, and like teach one another, our spouses, and try to do better. But like talk to one another about like, hey, like, yeah, I come to my husband for everything. We all have that person that we go to and talk to them about things, but um, the spirit, I don't know, that doesn't mean that you can judge other people. And like I do that sometimes, or go to my husband and I complain, and I shouldn't do that because just because like I'm telling him in confidence doesn't mean that it's right. And so that's something that he and I have been working on. If I ever start to say something and he's like, oh, is this something nice that you're telling me? And I'm like, oh, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. So that's something that I want to work on, and I want my family to do really well at, and something that we can continue to work on, because I think that will really benefit and like create unity when we don't judge each other. So that's something that I thought was really cool.
Right. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Brianna's commenting saying she can't get in. How do you guys know how I can invite her? Should I send her the event page link, or?
Yeah, try sending her the link.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry I'm so bad at this. I thought it'd go smoother.
Okay.
I think we'll have technical difficulties for the first few hangouts, so don't worry.
Yeah, definitely. Can you add someone back in after you started the live broadcast?
I don't know. I'm looking for the button. There was a button in the beginning where I invited all of you at once, and I don't know how to get back to that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's only available when we're not on air.
Yeah. So let's see if Brianna...
Okay, I got people in the background, but I'm going to be quick. Like background noise. But what you're going to do is on the side, you should be able to invite more people. Leah? I can't do it, but last week I was able to.
Okay.
Because I was the host.
On the side where they have like split screen and stuff?
Yeah. Like screen share and Q&A.
Yeah.
You should be able to.
I don't see a button. Let me explore here. Oh, invite.
Yeah, do you see it?
Yeah, I sent her. I did this with her already.
Try doing it. Well, make sure she's got the email, the right email, because I've noticed that we've gotten a couple of emails for her.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. What happened to my... There we are. Okay, sorry. Muting myself again.
Let's see. Oh, you know what? It's probably not the right one. Let me try this again. That's weird that we have so many different emails for her. I'm sorry. You guys can keep talking while I figure this out if you'd like. Why isn't it working?
I'll talk about something else.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, if you guys don't mind.
No, go ahead.
So, oh yeah, I liked how adamant he was about taking a moral stand, about like, and I think I read this somewhere else this week. I can't remember if it was for this class or another class, but like he said, or someone else said, like now is not the time to flee. Like he gave numerous examples of times where Christ's gospel or whoever had the truth had to flee and had to leave. And he said, like, that's been, for the past hundreds and hundreds of years, but now is not the time to do that. Now it's time to, where did he say? I can't find it. But he said, plant your feet, plant your family, have your foundation. Like, now is the time to stand for what you believe in. And I thought that was really cool that, like, no matter where you are, no matter where your family is, no matter where you live, you have the right, well, in the United States, you have the right to practice what you believe in. And it's kind of exciting, like, to have a family and to know that you can teach correct principles and you can teach your children right from wrong, and you can teach them that, like, it's going to be hard, but it'll be worth it, and you can do it because I believe in you, and like we all work together and we're a family, and I don't know, it's really cool.
I completely agree. I thought that was really good. I also highlighted that part where it says, where did I put it? I just had it. It says, in the 21st century, we cannot flee any longer. We are going to have to fight for laws and circumstances and environments that allow the free exercise of religion and our franchise in it. That is one way we can tolerate being in Babylon, but not in it.
Absolutely. That was really cool.
I liked that one. Like, starred, underlined.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I don't feel as, I don't know if you guys feel like this. Sometimes I'm scared to, like, bring kids into the world.
Yes.
It's not getting better. Like, from what I've seen on the news, if anything, like, it's getting worse. And so it scares me to bring my sweet little babies into such a terrible world, and then having to teach them from the get-go, like, you're going to have different beliefs than other people, and you're going to have to fight for it. And so this talk gave me a lot of comfort and made me feel like, okay, I can do it. It's going to be hard, but it's what needs to be done.
Right. Yeah, I like what you said, and Elder Holland says, it's not where we live anymore, it's how we live, and the standards that we teach our children, and what they do with those standards, and how they influence their peers, and how we influence our own peers. It's all about teaching good standards.
Yeah, it's true. And, like, think of how cool the effect on the community will be, like, just changing where you live. It's cool.
It's completely true.
It's true. He actually said in the talk that, it's not where we live. Zion can literally be everywhere where the church is, and, we can have, holiness in the home. It can be our home is the temple, right? As long as we're living the right standards. So, it might be scary to think about where the world is going and how it's changing, but as long as we're, having that Zion in our home and, like, where we live, we don't have to be as afraid.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Can, Brianna says she's still having trouble. Were you able to add people when the broadcast is still live?
I believe so. Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
Be able to. No, you're good.
Okay.
Have you tried Googling it?
Yeah, I don't know, I feel like I don't know why she can't join.
Did you send her a link? The link doesn't work?
I think
well, she's on the page. She's on the page and she's commenting, and she can't click start and join the call.
Because I think what happened is we sent out a link, but we're doing it on a different Hangout.
Right, she has the right Hangout link now.
Is she watching us live?
I don't know. She's not replying to me anymore. She just said I can't figure out how to join the actual call.
Well, if she can't figure out, maybe it would still be accepted if she watches the call and then, like, comments in, like, our little discussions board what her thoughts and feelings were.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Brianna, if you're watching, you should comment on the board and tell us that. Sorry. I just had something to add real quick. I'm sorry. I was thinking about how the idea of creating Zion in our homes and in our families, I think sometimes is taken for granted a little bit. I know, at least for me personally, people kind of underestimate what that takes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think the small things matter so much, like family home evening and scripture study, and I like those things keep us on track to do what it takes to create a Zion. So yeah.
I totally agree. I think people underestimate the power that the family has, and that's why it's being attacked so much by Satan and stuff, and like these anti-family groups, because family has so much power over what communities and societies can do. And like when you have that strong family, that Zion-like family, it's like you can do amazing things. But if you tear it down, it's going to tear at the fabric of society, honestly.
It's very true. I don't know. I'm like with Haley on the whole kids thing. I am terrified, but this talk like really gives me hope to know that everything's going to be okay and that I have the power in my own home and within my own like family and my community that I can create that good environment that, I mean, for the most part of my childhood I was raised in, and until kind of like the world kind of got crazy. But I don't know, this talk just really gives me that hope, and it helps me see that we can have Zion in our home as, you know, Babylon is outside of our door knocking. So
Yeah.
okay, I just didn't know if I was muted and I was like talking for no reason.
No, I agree. What question are we on now? Sorry.
I guess if we move to the second question now, how does Elder Holland's description of Babylon and Israel coincide with defending the doctrines of the family in these latter days?
Well,
I think we've kind of covered that with how in the past Babylon was a literal place and Israel was a literal place, and through history the Israelites and the saints have moved away from Babylon, and now we are where we are. There's nowhere else for us to run. We need to stand and fight, and that's what our Israel is today. It's us standing up for what is right and true, and defending against Babylon wherever we're at.
Right. Well, and something that I think about is how Babylon literally took the Israelites in captivity, and that is, I think, the goal of Satan in this whole advocacy movement on either on the like the gay movement per se. They want to attack us in a way where there's nothing we can do, and they say, oh, who are you, like I talked about last time, who are you to defend the family, who are you to have any kind of say in what happens in my life? You're tied up, you can't do anything. And they try to convince us that we can't, and yet when we study the gospel and we follow Christ, we get power from doing that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Sorry if I'm rambling, but
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
No, this one.
so, any other thoughts?
I don't know. I think Babylon is more of a spirit, like kind of like the spirit of a person or an attitude of a person now, rather than just a place. Like, I mean, you can see a physical place sometimes, like, but we are so not scattered, so to say, but kind of in a way that there are many like righteous among the unrighteous, or many Zionites, I guess you could say, among the Babylonians, but I do think it's more of a state of a mind now. But that's all I got to say on that question, at least.
Well, yeah, and it's easy to be in a state of mind of captivity on the other end of that too, of us thinking there's nothing we can do. So
I completely agree.
yeah. All right, are we ready to move on to the next question?
Yes.
Okay.
All
Next
right.
question is, what characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on that will make us, you, more effective family advocates?
Okay, I think the 3 lessons that he gave, the lesson number 1 for the establishment of Zion in the 21st century, you never check your religion at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Lesson 2, show compassion but be loyal to the commandments. And I don't know where my lesson 3 went. Oh, where it
I
is.
could find it for you.
I think
Sorry, my notes are everywhere.
Yeah, and lesson 3 is use gospel values to benefit communities and countries.
Yes, thank you. I just found that. But the one that I really, really love is, well, I love 1 and 2, but I really love number 2, which is show compassion but be loyal to the commandments. Because I don't know. Like, after what, did anyone watch, like, that video about, like, the son coming out to his dad?
Yeah.
I just thought about that. Like, he wasn't very compassionate, and, like, it was a setup, obviously. But he wasn't, like, being completely compassionate, but he was trying to be loyal to the commandments, and so he was trying to, like, do what he thought was right. But sometimes we forget that compassionate element, and it can be incredibly difficult. And, I mean, it's not easy, especially when you're being attacked, like, all the time, and especially with just all the threats to the family. It's not always easy to show compassion and to show that patience and to say, okay, hey, like, it's okay that you're doing this to me, but I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm rambling now, but what I'm trying to say is, like, be strong in your convictions, but show compassion towards their side, but don't check your religion at the door, and don't let yourself disobey the commandments of God.
Yeah, I like that one too. I also like the part where he said that we can't act in a way that's more offensive to the person who was originally making the offense. Like, that doesn't mean we don't have opinions or standards or anything. It's just that we have to defend our standards and our opinions in a righteous way, instead of kind of making this whole big mess of making them feel worse about themselves and just making a huge mess, when that all could have been avoided if we did it in a righteous way.
Right. And I think I listed the checking your religion at the door example under threats as in saying that it's so tempting to do that. Because you let your you want to defend the gospel. And you think that by, I don't know, his example, they were obviously just being obnoxious and saying, oh, it's a game, religion has no place here. But I think in advocacy, it's easy for us to do that. When we're trying to defend our religion, in a way, we get angry, we get upset, we offend the person instead of being the example to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then just a story, I just thought of, like, kind of a personal example of this is when I'm from Montana, and so there's not very many Mormons there. And I had a friend in high school, and she's been friends with me, like, my whole life. And she knew that I converted to the church and everything, but she had a rough life. Her parents, her dad was an alcoholic, things like that. And so she was into drugs, and she smoked marijuana. And I always, like, the rule that I always said was, look, you can't talk about it around me, you can't use it around me. If you're high, you can't call me, text me, or hang out with me, or anything like that. And she never challenged that, except for one time where she saw me at a park, and she ran up to me all excited and was all talking really fast. And I knew she was high. I could smell it, you know. And I said, I'm sorry. I can't talk to you right now. And I left. And she called me the next day, and she's like, I'm so sorry that I did that. And I think through standing up and doing that, even though it was hard for me to leave her alone because I was worried about her, you set an example by doing that, you know, and by saying, okay, I love you, but I can't hang out with you when you're like this, you know.
Yeah.
I commend you for being able to do that. That's really awesome.
No, thanks.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes along. So my oldest sister, she's not a member of the church anymore, and I'm member 4 of 6. Like, there's a lot of us, but she's the oldest, and she's not a member of the church, and she's not anti, but, like, she's atheist now, and I'm like, this is besides the point, but I'm like, you're an idiot, but that's besides the point. But, like, she still comes to, like, family activities, and, like, I mean, she's still very much a part of the family, and, like, even though we don't agree, and, like, we don't agree, like, we're still family, and we still love her. And I think that goes for anything, like whether they use marijuana, whether they have same-sex attraction, like, you know, all of these things, like, we don't love the sin, but we love the sinner. And I thought that was a really cool aspect. And, like, that's how you can advocate for the family.
So I'm going to be devil's advocate.
Yeah.
So what do people say, like, because I get this all the time, well, you can't separate the sin from the sinner. Like, this is who I am. This isn't a sin. This is me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how would you respond to that? Because I struggle with that. Like, how can we be an advocate?
or like homosexuality.
Yeah, we'll say homosexuality. Yeah, because that's a big one.
That's what I get most of the time.
It's so yeah, it's really hard, but like, and I've heard like two sides of the story, but like if it were me, let's say my sister, I see her at Thanksgiving and she tells me that she has a girlfriend and like her girlfriend's coming for Thanksgiving, like I'll be really, I'll have to talk to her about it. Say it's so hard and it's such a touchy subject and like I want my sister to be happy, but she's got to know that it's got to be deeper than that. Like God has set like a man and a woman to be the head of a family. That is the only way you can reproduce. Like that is the only way that you can be happy and that you can create Zion here on earth. And like I'll have to explain that to her, but like she needs to make her own decisions and like I'll still love her. I don't think I'm really answering your question.
No, like, you are.
Okay. But like it goes deeper than just this is who I am. Because so this same sister that's not a member of the church, so she was on the ballroom team and one of the guys there was gay. And he decided to found a girl that he really liked. They still got married and he's got kids and he understands deeper. Like he's got like he priesthood holder, married in the temple, they have kids. Like yes, he's attracted to men, but he understands like the deeper concepts. He understands the gospel, that this is like the best way to do it. So like that's a part of him, but like you don't have to act on every part of you. Like I love sweets. I mean that's a part of me, and I could go gorge myself in the ice cream shop. I can do whatever I want, but like, is that the best way to do it? I think.
Well, I like what you did because to me, you answered exactly what Elder Holland said, or like one of the things that we can take is to show compassion, but stand up for your beliefs. And I think when we do that, I just remember this lesson in the other day in Sundays or relief study. I don't remember, but it was at church, and she said, well, my daughter, like she was one of the older women in the ward, and she said, well, my daughter struggles with same gender, like, or no, she wasn't same gender, but she wanted to move in with her boyfriend like before they were married, and she asked for some blankets like for their apartment and everything, and her mom wouldn't give her the blankets. And said, I'm sorry, this is not what I I stand for. This isn't what I believe in. And she said once her daughter left, she had this overwhelming feeling that what she did was wrong. And she said she felt like she needed to show compassion rather than this immense scolding. And she said, I realized at that moment I could teach her what I knew to be true in a compassionate way rather than like disciplining her for doing what she's doing, Yeah. And I think that's what Elder Holland is trying to say, is to be able to have Zion in our homes, we have to be content with first of all, like with ourselves and with one another and our family. But we also have to, I don't know where I was going with that thought, I just lost it. But we have to be able to be happy in our homes first, and then we can advocate for the family outside of our homes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's hard when you can't people do what you want them to. I know that sounds terrible, but it's hard when they become adults because you're like, you're doing it the hard way.
Right.
Easy way, but
I just have some. Well, let's see. Emma, do you have anything to add? I feel like we haven't heard from you, Emma and Amy.
I was just thinking in my head, like trying to like understand like all the different perspectives coming on here and the questions and stuff. But I guess like what I've understood from like the little past part of the conversation is like we should be compassionate, like pretty much no matter what the circumstances is, even when it can strongly go against what we believe in, but we can still are able to stand for what we believe in. We can say, this is what I believe in, but I still love you and I still care about you, but I'm not saying what you're doing is right, but I still love you.
Right.
If I'm understanding everything correctly.
I agree.
I have kind of another personal story. So my uncle is gay, and he was gay. He passed away of cancer a couple months ago. And I didn't know him very well. He was kind of estranged from my family. But it was really hard on my grandma, who is a devout Mormon, who's, you know, had a lot of her kids kind of leave the church and go astray. And so it was hard for her because she didn't know quite what was really going to happen to him. And then, you know, you add in the whole being estranged from the family because he was gay. And so anyway, my mom went down to see him before he passed away and at his funeral. And she told me that Todd was his name. She said that Todd actually felt bad for thinking, for leaving the family because he was so afraid of the family judging him. When we would have said, you know, come to dinner with us. We want to see you. We want to stay in contact. And I understand those families and those people who, you know, cut off contact with their kids or don't go to the wedding if they, you know, if they're getting married to another woman or something. You know, I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, it really breaks my heart that the family is the central unit, and I feel like by staying a family, even if one of your children is going astray, whether it's homosexuality or anything else, staying connected will do a lot more healing than saying, oh, I can never talk to you again, or I can't go to your wedding, or, you know, things like that.
No, I totally agree. And like, I feel like more harm can come from totally cutting someone out of your life and being like, because of what you do and it being against what I believe in. I think just like, you know, not going to their wedding, not inviting them to dinner, you know, kind of just cutting them out of the family, it would do more harm than be like, yeah, we don't agree what we believe in, but go ahead, bring your boyfriend to dinner. We want to meet him.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it was so hard. I mean, I can't imagine maybe like one of my kids, I don't have any yet, but if I did have a child who was getting married, like if I had a daughter who wanted to marry another woman and wanted me to be there, like that would be really painful for me. And I understand why that's a hard choice, because you don't want to endorse, you know, gay marriage. But at the same time, like, it's your daughter, and this is important to her too. So there's got to be a way where you can attend, but then, you know, she's aware. I'm sure the children are aware of what you believe in, you know, and hopefully you were the example, and I don't know, being the example of love, I guess.
What do you want to say, Sydney?
Well, okay, I understand a lot. I understand everything and completely agree with what you guys are saying, where the family unit needs to stick together and things are stronger as a family. But what about those families who have, like, sexual abuse, where their fathers abuse their daughters? And
I think that'd be like a different circumstance. Like, when I think of like families sticking together, it's like those families of Zion, who have that good foundation, that good base of like understanding, you know, those moral and, you know, righteous things. But like those, obviously, the families, if someone's abusing someone, you know, they're misusing their power, and someone needs to step in there. And sometimes separating yourself from an unrighteous situation so you can strive for those better things is better. You know, you need to find that Zion.
Well, sometimes it can be hard because, like, if you are, like, being abused or things like that, you know, in whatever aspect, in the home, sometimes it's hard to leave. Like, moms don't want to leave, and they think that this is a righteous priesthood man, and they think that they're building up Zion by not leaving. So, like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Sydney, but
It needs to be healthy. And, like, there's a lot of, if it's not healthy, if it's not a place where you feel the spirit, where you can grow and you can develop and you feel safe, if that's not a place for you, then talk to your bishop. Like, talk to another adult that you trust. Like, figure out things that you can do to create a family unity. Because if, for example, if it was the father that's violent, then he needs to be out of the picture, because then it doesn't not out of the picture forever, but a place where you feel safe and like the family unit can cultivate, you know, the gospel and love and peace and harmony and whatever. And but yeah, that's so hard. And like luckily there are a lot of places that you can go for things like that. Like there's therapy like in and out of the church. My mom is a psychologist for the church, which is really cool. But like there's a lot of options for families like that.
But could that be applied to like same gender attraction? Because like we talk about like inviting people over and all these things like that. But sometimes that can make people feel uncomfortable and not bring the spirit into the home.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But then I think boundaries need to be set and like rules apply. Like in my home, boys weren't allowed in my bedroom. Same
Yep.
thing, like girls shouldn't be allowed in your same gender attraction. Like curfew at midnight or curfew at 10, whatever. The same rules need to apply and like boundaries need to be set so the family feels comfortable. And that you can.
I agree.
I don't think there's anything about the gospel that says you need to stay with an abuser or you need to stay in an unhealthy, dangerous place. I don't think there's anywhere that says that. And I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay, sorry. And I think the answer to Sydney, just some thoughts I was having, is there's a big difference between forgiving somebody and saying, okay, this is the choices that they have made, and now I need to make my choices. And then there's a difference between that and rescuing somebody from the natural consequences of their actions. And I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's the point I was trying to get at, was like how to be compassionate towards even those who have hurt us and whose actions go against our beliefs in such a way that there is harm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question.
Which is what you guys have covered fairly well, I think. So.
All right. Yeah. Well, should we move on?
Yeah, let's go on to the next question.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So the next question would be, according to what you have learned from Elder Holland's talk, what obligation, if any, do you have in a scenario like the one in the video below of the father and the son?
I thought the video was really interesting. I kind of was like putting myself in that position. I'm like, what would I do? And part of me would be like, it's not my business. But I don't know. It was kind of hard because part of me would be like, I wouldn't want somebody else in my business. I'd be like, back off, buddy. Because, like, first of all, it's my child. Like, don't tell me how to parent my child. But then I, like, read this talk, like, remembering it, and I'm just like, like, first of all, if they were coming out to me, I would try and be as loving as possible, but I would let them know that this is not how I view, like, them, like, or not them, but, like, this, it's not what I agree with. But if I was a stand-byer, like, I don't know, I think it'd be hard. I would probably wait until, like, one of them left and then, like, would have talked, because I think if you jump in while they're, like, going at it with one another, or, like, in an intimate, like, conversation, I think it would be, I don't know what I'd do, actually. I know I would do something, I just don't know how I'd do it, because it is such a touchy subject.
Yeah, I think some good advice that Elder Holland gave was he said that everyone is entitled to act as if God is silent in the situation. I think that
Amy, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, what he said is no one is entitled to act as if God is silent on the situation. So I think that even this really awkward situation that you would be in would be a good time for you to kind of just really stand in your beliefs. I mean, like you said, you have to do it in a righteous way and not make it so they feel like you're attacking them. But you kind of have to make them feel like, this is how I see it, and I think it could really go good for you if you live this way. So.
I completely agree. That's a really good way of looking at it. I just don't know how to voice it. Thank you.
I think it kind of goes back just to what he said, that our response always need to make things better and not worse. I think that just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I love that. I love how he said that. Emma, do you have any thoughts?
No, you guys have been putting it in some. Combining
sorry,
the
what was
words very well. You guys are good.
Okay. All right, and then the last oh, did you have something, Sydney?
Yeah. In a class last semester, I don't remember which one, we were talking, it was towards child abuse, but some lady looked over at the car next to her, and a mother was just yelling at her child or whatever. And we talked about in my class, like, the simplest thing and best thing you could do is just ask if everything is okay. So not to, like, get in their faces, but just say, hey, are you guys doing okay? Do you need something? And that kind of just diffuses the situation a little bit. It might amplify it in some cases depending on, you know, if individuals are violent or not, but it generally just diffuses the situation and allows time for people to think about what they're doing and saying in the whole overall situation. And so in the case with, like, the video where, you know, I didn't get to see the video, it wasn't working, but from what Jessica told me, it sounds like, you know, there was, like, kind of an eruption. But just being like, hey, are you okay? And giving them a moment to think instead of just react.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree.
And I think if things were to get bad enough where, like, you know, there was child abuse happening, then that's when you step in, like, quickly. And you say, okay, somebody call the police here, like, this is not okay, you know. There are points where, you know, not to let down compassion, but there are points where you have to step in. And I think about that story that Elder Holland said about the police officer who went in and said, you know, if this isn't fixed when I come back, like, bad things are going to happen to you, you know. And you know, kids need protection. So. Yeah, and then the last question?
The last question, if you were a customer at this restaurant and observed this Father Son exchange, what principles or attributes did Elder Holland teach that should guide your response? So I think we kind of discussed some of that already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Where is it?
All right. Does anybody else have any thoughts? If not, I'll summarize it quickly. Nope, no thoughts?
Good discussion this week.
Yeah.
All right. So just to summarize real quickly, we talked a lot about how to treat others in very different situations. And we talked about how difficult it is to know what to say and what to do, especially when it's your own family members. We liked the part about, I feel like most of the focus of our discussion was on the compassion part of what Elder Holland talked about, and how to practice that. We talked a lot about homosexuality and that in our families and how families need to stick together. And then we talked about how not only do we need to deal with that in a compassionate way within our families, but outside of our families when we see other situations. And then we asked questions about, you know, what if it's a unhealthy situation, and we addressed that, and we concluded that, you know, there are points where you need to do what's the safest and best thing for you and your family. So is that a good summary? Does anybody have anything to add?
That was good.
That's good.
All right. Does somebody who wants to do this next week? Don't all jump at once.
I know.
I wouldn't mind doing it.
Haley, is that what you said?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Haley.
Yep. So I'll just send an invite like the day of.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll just get it ready. Cool. Bear with me.
And
Hopefully it all works out.
Yeah, it's the event page link that I post onto the bulletin board, right?
No.
Yeah. So when you
I
stop
think
the
it's a link to the
broadcast,
video.
No, it's the YouTube one.
Oh, it's the YouTube one?
Mhm.
Okay, where do I get that? Oh, it's listed. Okay,
got it?
I got it. The YouTube page.
Okay.
Sweet.
Sorry, no, I made that mistake last week, and so I was like, wait, no. So, yeah, it's the YouTube one. I asked
Okay.
Sister, like, yeah, cool.
All right.
Sorry,
Well,
I didn't mean to cut. Yeah. Well, thank you for hosting.
Yeah, sorry it didn't go well. Sorry, Brianna.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it works a little bit better next week.
Yeah.
It will. All right.
right.
Well, I will see you guys
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.